Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel, and welcome back to Lawfolds. This is Lawfolds episode number 39. We're in the very first game day of spring, and just looking at that, that looks like that tire is a bit flat there. I think that's just sunken into the ground. I don't think it's that way for any mechanical type reason. I think it's maybe just the way we're looking at it there. So, so yeah, it's a brand new game day. As I had mentioned, I think at the end of episode 38 that I would most likely go ahead and start a brand new game day for this day, just simply because, well, why not? Just not a whole lot to do. I think this game day, though, will be a little bit more fruitful for us. A few things that we can do. Looks like we still have that pile of melted snow or snow that has not melted yet. So we'll address that at some other point in time. But we do have a great demand for soybeans, and we do have some soybeans in our inventory. So we're going to basically, I believe, start with taking care of that, taking care of the soybeans, getting the soybeans, or at least getting a couple of the loads of soybeans moved around to the sell point. So we will do that, and then I think that most likely we will probably cultivate the oilseed radish in as well. Don't know if we'll get to that this episode. We might actually start on it and then finish it in the next episode. So let's see, sunflowers, soybeans. So we've got 89,000 liters of soybeans. So this will actually be a pretty good, should be a pretty good windfall for us, pretty good profit. Of course, what I don't know is will the snow melt, the piles of snow, will that melt, or will that just always kind of stay? We'll have to see. I think what we'll do is I'll pick that up. That's next to the grain silo and move that and place that in the other, probably in the other. Well, 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 look at that. We just had a mechanical failure. That is rather interesting. All right, did you guys hear how that shut the tractor down and everything? Maintenance is required. We'll see if we can back this back to the main farm. It's quite a task for me, so I'd better be quiet here while we do this. That's actually a new feature that the Seasons Mod developer team put into the mod. So I don't know if we would have never experienced a failure before this feature was added to the mod, and it was added just um, just a few days ago. I was actually out of town when they released it, but I managed to download it and then obviously install it before I started this episode here. So not the perfect job of backing, but I think we will do okay. So we will go ahead and unhook our tractor, and we will go ahead and do some quick maintenance on our tractor just so that we can ensure that its reliability and everything is up to par, because, well, that's just how we run things here on our farm. And let's just pull this into our shop. Actually, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do something else. We'll pull this around and pull it into this other area here. And we'll just go in and get our toolbox, set the parking brake, go ahead and turn the engine off, and we'll grab our little trusty toolbox here. And we'll bring our toolbox out here, and we'll set our toolbox down. There we go. All right, so New Holland maintenance. Wow, $4,699. So left R, and we'll do the maintenance. Bada bing, bada boom, just like that. We'll pick our toolbox up, and we'll take our toolbox and we'll place it in here. The magical thing about this mod or this placeable is that the toolbox will come back to where it's supposed to go each time you restart the game. So you don't necessarily have to worry about returning it to where it goes, but obviously if we want to make sure that we do that, then we can do it that way. Okay, well, we've got a full maintenance done. I'm so pleased that you guys got to see that, because you know, sometimes things that I want to show you, I somewhat experience when I am, you know, off doing things off camera or whatever. And I had done, you know, I had driven that little Sammy for many game days and didn't have any, you know, it never stopped working. I wanted it to stop working because I wanted to be able to tell you guys that is what will happen if you don't do maintenance on your equipment. And of course you guys all know that. I mean, it's if you're old enough to own a you know, a car, even a bicycle. I mean, if you're a young person and you own a bicycle and you don't oil the chain, you don't keep the chain, you know, properly adjusted, or if you don't keep other things about your bicycle, your tires properly inflated, or keep you know, just those kind of things. Maybe something as simple as batteries in your headlight, or your safety indicators or whatever. If you don't keep that stuff maintained, it will stop working on you, and it's going to stop working on you at the least convenient time, just like this. This was a perfect example. You know, here we are off to market with this load of soybeans, and the tractor just basically just stopped dead in its tracks, and I was able to fire it back up, and we were able to back up to the main yard there and do the repair. And it was a rather costly repair, but that's fine. That's all part of the whole process. Repairs on equipment is often costly, and of course it's costly certainly at different times. Now I have talked about, and I think I spent an episode sort of, you know, talking about the fact that, well, you know, maybe some things the maintenance could be either a little slower or a little less expensive, like for example, the combine harvester. So combine harvester is going to be something that you're going to use for, especially with Seasons Mod, you're going to use that within a short window of time. So if you do the maintenance on it, say for example before the summer and fall harvest season, which would actually be the good time to do the maintenance on it, and then maybe if you did maintenance on it again after the harvest season, maybe the maintenance wouldn't be required on the harvester, or at least not as expensive maintenance or whatever, once you kind of come back and begin using it, because essentially it's going to have been just setting up in a barn undercover and not being used. Unlike a tractor, for example, that probably will get used, you know, and we certainly have used this tractor quite a bit throughout our all of our seasons. You know, it's kind of well, it's our largest tractor that we own, so it's kind of our plow tractor. It's a good tractor for hauling, you know, grain to the mill, because again, it's our most largest horsepower tractor that we own. So we will go ahead and sell and dump this. Almost $81,000 on that load of soybeans. So that is pretty awesome. So we're really building up our cash there. So most likely in not this game or not this episode, and maybe not even this game day, but we will eventually decide what we want to do as far as increasing our number of fields that we own, and just what the strategy would be on that. Again, I haven't really decided if I'm going to just buy a field sort of nowish time frame, and we do all the work to that. Obviously we would need to plow it, and and then prep the field and everything, because I did get confirmation that that was my head tracking jerking. I didn't run into anything. I did confirm, one of you guys confirmed my suspicion that basically the owners of these fields don't plow their own fields. Now, there might be a mission that we could accept that would allow us to plow it for them, and they pay us for it, but they don't, as a general rule, they basically don't plow their fields. So if we do buy a field, regardless of whether we buy the field now or we wait and we buy the field once they have sort of done the effort on seeding it and maybe fertilizing it, I think probably it would probably be in our best interest to go ahead and buy the field sooner rather than later, so that we could go ahead and plow the field before we planted whatever crop that we wanted to plant on the field. Because again, if it's a plowed field, we're going to get maximum harvest yield off of that if we plow it. So I think that the value is certainly in it for us to go ahead and to plow the field, or buy the field now, plow the field, plant the field, do everything that we need to do to the field to take care of it, and then it's just ours. Now, there is a, and I meant to install it and activate it just to kind of experiment with it, and I've got a small list of things that I plan to do, and that I will do. It's just a matter of getting to it. But the Bank of Hagenstadt, if that's how you pronounce that, has been released, and it looks like that may function in somewhat the same way that it did in Farm Sim 15. Now, I never used it, but I believe that we can now lease fields, and we can now maybe even sell fields that we buy. So that'll be kind of cool. So we'll go ahead and take one more load of soybeans down as part of this episode. I will edit out a little bit of my backing up time that it took to back the tractor and everything when we had that mechanical breakdown. I will do that just to kind of shorten the episode, because I'd kind of like to do I'd kind of like to maybe at least cultivate, or at least get started cultivating one of these oilseed radish fields in. And I just need to kind of see. I can't remember if we put oilseed radish over on that smaller field where we had our either potatoes or sugar beets. I can't remember what those were now. I think it was sugar beets. But in any event, we do have a field that we can go ahead and start on, and at least get that done, and show a little more than just selling of crops, because that's kind of all that we've done in the last few episodes of Lawfolds, is just sell some crops and do some of the animal work and stuff like that, because, well, with the Seasons mod, it really does change the way that you play the game. And I've talked about that, and I think you guys have seen it, and a few of you are actually playing your maps with the Seasons mod, and you're experiencing it almost exactly the way that I'm experiencing it. So you are getting that information firsthand. And I know that in the last couple of days, I think last week when I was traveling, a couple of different people asked if I knew when the Seasons mod would be released for everyone, and that decision has not been made yet. So it'll be ready when it gets ready, kind of thing. And I would just encourage you to just be patient with the mod developers, because it really is a little more complex than just your average, game type mod. So it's doing a lot of different things. It touches a lot of different things in the sense that, it changes your animal behavior, as we've talked about in the past. Your cows will consume more water in the wintertime. They won't will consume more water in the summertime. They won't consume grass in the wintertime. Your sheep will not produce wool in the fall and winter time frame. They are producing wool now that we've hit spring. Obviously, our grass was knocked back to a very low stage during the winter months, and it's, now it's growing again. So, if we need to, we'll be able to cut grass, and for either grass or for silage if we wanted to do that. So a lot of different things that the Seasons mod does, and we just need to be patient, because as I have talked about sort of in depth about cattle and crops, cattle and crops will be available when it's ready, just like the Seasons mod, but we don't want it to be rushed, because we don't want a piece of junk. We want something that's quality. And I'll tell you, I mean, the Seasons mod right now really is probably the best that I have ever seen it, with all the functionality, especially with the breakdown stuff that's now seems to be working. So that's really cool. And just gonna grab us a screenshot there. So now that that's done, I think that maybe, just maybe, we are getting a little closer to when it will be released. But as far as an exact date, I don't know that, and I don't even know if, to be quite honest and frank with you all, I don't even know if the development team, the mod development team, have a date in mind right now either. I don't know that they necessarily, when they began developing it, I don't know if they, sat down and looked at a calendar, or if they threw a calendar on the wall and took a dart and said, close our eyes and throw a dart at the wall for some arbitrary number. I don't think that they did that. I think that from sort of the beginning, they said it'll be ready when it gets ready. And they all have full-time, lives outside of modding, just like everyone else does, including myself, as you guys have experienced. And so, but I think that's just the level of commitment that I've seen from them is just is second to none. So it'll be ready when it's ready, and it'll be just extremely incredible and marvelous and exciting, and, as I have said, game changing. I mean, this is truly a game changing mod for Farm Sim 17. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do is, you guys know the way back, so I'm going to see you when we get back to the main farm. Alright, well, we're back, and we're connected to our cultivator here, as you can see. Shouldn't be anything new here to you. So we are going to go ahead and just ease into this field here. This is an oilseed radish field, and we'll see if this will allow us to cultivate this field. Our soil temperature, ground temperature right now is at 36 degrees. Air temperature is at 36 degrees as well. A bit cool, but we're not getting the frozen ground symbol that we were getting when it was wintertime. And so I'm thinking that maybe, just maybe, it will let us go ahead and cultivate, and I think it will, so we're just going to go ahead and do that. And I was actually going to fast forward time just a little bit to get rid of some of this haze, but it does look like there is rain in the forecast, and I don't want to take the chance that it's actually going to start raining, which might cripple us in our ability to go ahead and cultivate. So I kind of thought, okay, well, we'll go ahead and cultivate, we'll get this done, and or at least we'll get this started. I don't think that we'll get this done in this episode, because we're already about 25 minutes or so in, but I did, there will be some edits, and also the previous episode of Pineco Farm was a bit short. So I told you guys I would kind of make up for it a little bit, and so this is going to be more or less how I do that. So enjoy. So I hope you all are having a wonderful week. Usually I say that a little bit earlier in the episode, but I failed to do that. So I hope you all are having a fantastic week. The week is almost over. It's hump day. If everything, or if my calculations on when I think this episode is going to air, I believe it's Wednesday. Although, please don't Don't hold me to that. Sometimes I say that it's Friday and I get my episodes or I get my days mixed up. I get not that I think it's a different day when I'm actually recording it, but don't forget, guys, I do record a little bit in advance. And as a result, sometimes I think that, okay, well, this episode I'm recording is going to be on Wednesday, and I'm talking about it's a Wednesday, but then it actually ends up being Tuesday or Thursday, or I don't know. Just the small little problems that us YouTube folks have that when we try to make sure we keep a consistent flow of episodes coming out to you. And so yeah, I think this is this is episode 39. Who would have thunk that we'd get 39 episodes out of this map? But I still enjoy this map very, very much. I've got to say that, you know, I absolutely loved Coleborough Park Farm for Farm Sim 15, and I won't say that I've also enjoyed it for 17. We played it a little bit. I don't know I can't remember how many episodes we got out of Coleborough Park Farm, but obviously we ran into some problems, and I think that just because I played it so much in 15, that it wasn't like it was devastating to me to have to sort of give up on that Let's Play series, because again, I had played it so much in 15 that I really got my enjoyment and everything out of it. So this map, I think I would have to say that this is probably, the way I feel about this map is probably very similar to how I felt about Coleborough Park Farm for Farm Sim 15. It's really, it is really a joy to play. This map is. It's a beautiful map, and it works really, really well with the Seasons mod. And I know quite a few of you are also playing this map with Seasons, and I believe you all kind of say the same thing, that it's a really nice map to play. And no, I mean, I have not heard anything about cattle and crops. I've not had an update from the team as far as when we could, expect it. Of course, we're still. You guys are going to be watching this. Let's see. Again, if my days are correct, Wednesday the 29th of March. So, March is almost done. The anticipation for cattle and crops was the early release stuff was March of 2017. That was the original target date, and of course cattle and crops came out several weeks ago and said that date would slip. They did not indicate how far it would slip. The assumptions that many of us made was several weeks. Of course, we don't know what the initial planned release date was, so is that slippage time, does that start next week when we get into April, or were they initially planning on releasing cattle and crops in, say, mid-March, and are we sort of a couple of weeks into this already? Who really knows? I mean, I don't know, to be honest, and I don't think any of us know, because none of us are glued in with the development team. At least I'm not, and I don't really know anybody that is. So we're just going to have to wait and see, I suppose. But hopefully it'll be sometime in April. I would be okay. Again, I'm going to be okay with whatever decision that they make. Yes, I'm a little bit disappointed because I had sort of planned for, and I had talked about this in some of my episodes, I had sort of planned for and anticipated, this was before they came out and said that there would be a delay, but I had sort of planned for and anticipated things to change here with my channel, because I had basically said, okay, well, I'm going to do one FS17 map, and then I will basically do a Let's Play, sort of however abbreviated it needed to be with cattle and crops, but basically that would be the second, that would sort of replace a Let's Play series for Farm Sim 17, cattle and crops would. So, but you know, I guess I will be okay with whatever decision is made, ultimately whatever they think is best. We're all just going to have to be okay with. I mean, we're going to have to live with that. It is what it is. But you know, I'm hopeful that it will actually be. I'm hopeful that it will actually be maybe sooner rather than later. So I'm kind of thinking, hoping, fingers crossed, that maybe, you know, April, sometime in April. But we'll have to see. And of course, the only thing that will essentially prevent me from being able to immediately begin featuring cattle and crops on this channel would be as if they were to plan to release it while I'm on a business trip. So hoping that won't be the case. Hoping that certainly what I would hope that they will do is I would hope that they would give us a target date. At some point, they would release a communication, a press release of some kind, and basically say, okay, as I run into that hedge, basically, okay, you know, thank you all for understanding, and thank you for being patient and everything as we work through these challenges. And now April the 15th or April the 20th or whatever the case would be when we anticipate to release it, because that would allow us, people like myself, that do Let's Play series on YouTube, that would allow us to basically plan for that. Not that I can't necessarily cancel a business trip or, you know, really schedule something like that, but I could at least be prepared for it and anticipate it, much like we would if it was a real, you know, a new game release, you know, the way that we were planning and preparing for Farm Sim 17 or for the new train simulator or whatever the case is. And of course, I will just say this again, you know, it's going to be the early access is going to be just that. It is an early access version of cattle and crops. It's abbreviated in the sense that I believe there's only a few things that we can actually do. There's only going to be a few pieces of equipment that we're going to have access to. You know, mods and things like that aren't going to be available initially, and that's fine, because we want to see the vanilla game. Quite honestly, I mean, that's what I want to see. That's what I'm most excited about, is understanding what is the vanilla game like, because we obviously had Farm Sim 17, even though there were a few mods available for 17, and boy, it's getting foggy, isn't it? There were a few mods for Farm Sim 17 pretty soon after it was released. I enjoyed playing Farm Sim 17, the vanilla aspects of the game, because again, it sort of gave me the opportunity to understand what was the base game, what were the differences between the base game of Farm Sim 15 versus Farm Sim 17. As we sort of maybe disappointedly found out, there wasn't a whole lot of difference between the base game of Farm Sim 15 and the base game of 17. I think people's expectations were somewhat, bubbles were burst, and some things of that nature came about because I think everybody hoped that there would be a really major change, and it just wasn't the case. But anyway, it is what it is, and we live with it, and we enjoy it, and we move on, and mods come along and enhance the default gameplay, the vanilla gameplay, like seasons, and you know, some of the crop destruction mods and other things like that come along and help us enhance the gameplay. But I'm really looking excited and looking forward to understanding what the major differences are between vanilla cattle and crops and vanilla farm sim. So I think, and of course, I mean, I don't want to make any promises or anything until we kind of have more information and a little bit more information and knowledge about when cattle and crops is going to come out. But, you know, I'm going to, instead of us really getting hot and heavy into trying to do a let's play and a continuation of, you know, today we're plowing and tomorrow we're going to, you know, fertilize and cultivate, and really worrying about trying to keep things consistent. One of the things I'm going to be doing is really looking at, okay, how does this relate to what we have and how we experience that with Farm Sim 17. And it's not necessarily to try to paint giants into a negative category or anything like that. But I think that the direction of where some of these agricultural-based simulation games will be headed, because I don't necessarily want to use the term farm sim, because farm sim sort of is what we refer to when we talk about Farm Sim 15 and Farm Sim 17, the Giants version. But agricultural-based simulators, which encompass a farming simulation type application, you know, they're gonna evolve. They're gonna further evolve into much better things than what we know today. And I think that cattle and crops is going to go down in history as being the version or the application, the developers or whatever, that will be driving that change. Because I think that, you know, as I have said on here before, and I'll say it again, Giants will have to Farm Sim 19, if that's going to be the next thing. And let's just face it, you know, every other year Giants has released a new version of their Farm Sim application, going back as far as, I believe, was it 9, and then 11, then 13 and 15, and then 17, obviously. So this is every other year, and it occurs in the fall time frame. So in the fall of 2016, we got Farm Sim 17 released to us. So if history repeats itself, and history is a pretty good indicator with these kind of things, we would expect to see Farm Sim 19 in the fall of 2018. So we have a year and a half or so to go before we would expect to see that. It's going to have to be radically, I believe, radically different, especially if Cattle and Crops has come out with their version, and the full version, unless there's a setback for that, we expect that to be in the fall of this year, 2017, fall-winter time frame of 2017. If when that comes out, if that has a lot of the features that are only available to the Farm Sim 15 and Farm Sim 17, with a lot of mods and things of that nature, or a lot of just role play, or not necessarily role play, that's not the word I'm thinking of, but just imagination, sort of how I began playing Goldcrest Valley with seasons, thinking about seasons, and this was before the seasons mod. But if they come out, if Cattle and Crops comes out in the fall or winter of this year, and the game just basically blows everyone's socks away, and all this stuff works the way that we've been hearing about it working, with AI being able to, you know, basically tell your AI driver, I tell Billy Bob, okay, go and plow field number 12, and I don't have to drive his tractor and set his tractor up and do all that kind of stuff. He just goes and does it. If that kind of stuff is working out of the box and it works really well, guess what, Giants? This is what we're going to expect. Because, and I've said this and I'll say it again, I only need one agricultural based simulation game in my library. If Cattle and Crops is going to bring me everything that I want out of an agricultural based simulation game, it's gonna win. It will win the spot to live on my hard drive permanently and be my agricultural based simulation based game that I will go to each and every time. That is just how it will go. It's kind of interesting how that the crop destruction mod doesn't the oilseed radish doesn't get destroyed when you drive over it. Of course, this is not a harvestable crop, so we're just basically grew this for the purpose of fertilization reasons, a natural fertilization method. And so yeah, but of course it would be, well, I guess it would be difficult because we are driving on the oilseed radish before the cultivator comes along and cultivates it. So okay, I think I just answered my own question there. All right, well, folks, it is about 40 minutes into it. I will probably be editing out just only a couple of minutes of content here, so it will still be a plus 30 minute episode, this episode 39. So I will just go ahead and start wrapping things up and just say thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you tuning in each and every time that I release a video. I'm currently releasing videos 5 days a week with my alternating between Lawfolds and Pine Cove Farm. And then even on occasion, like last weekend, I did manage to do a courseplay tutorial on Saturday so that you all have something to watch on that day as well. But I did have to scale back from 6 days or 6 episodes a week down to 5 just because of my travel schedule. And we will maintain this schedule for at least another week or two. And I will keep you updated on that as my schedule and everything progresses, and my workload and everything else. And this is Saturday, the 25th of March that I'm recording this, and Doughboy2913, sent me a message through PCSG saying that they were going to do a live stream, and I've had other things that I've needed to do today, honeydew things around the house. I had to do some repairs outside. Today was a semi-gorgeous day outside. We had snow. Actually, parts of Colorado got lots of snow on Thursday night and Friday, and so I kind of have to do these things when the weather is cooperating because it's going to turn bad again Sunday, tomorrow, and so I did miss out on that live stream, and I do hope to kind of get back into a routine where I can even do some live streams myself and interact with you guys, because those are a lot of fun for me to do. And so anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and without further ado, I will just go ahead and say thank you all so much. God bless you all, and see you next time here on Lawfolds or Pine Cove Farm. Take care. Bye-bye.